and particularly when it comes to our history, our identity, financial information, our innovation, building industries. We seem not to be so much aware. Once in a while, some people will find them and struggle, but in the open culture, you see the politics, you see the religion, you hear the music, you know the movie, the sports. We are obsessed with those. When the
Sure,
others who are taking over a lot of things are looking at innovation, they're looking at business,
sure.
they're looking at investment, they're looking at finance, and that is dominant.
All right. Well, welcome everybody once again back to Africa on Focus, where we share our success stories. Here on High Radio is what we do. This is actually a special series because throughout the network and throughout the people that we've interviewed, we have phenomenal African people that either come through Amsterdam or reach us through many wonderful ways, and we always like to touch base. So before we get things started, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Africa on Focus, and also find us on High Radio, of course, live in the city of Amsterdam. And every Sunday, of course, if you want to catch us live, Africa on Focus with myself and Donnie Addison follows, where we talk about African excellence and so much more. In case you missed any of the episodes, of course, you can find us on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube, of course, as well. And really highlighting that, this is really to empower Africans, to make sure you're well adjusted within whatever space that you are. Definitely when it comes to your career, your entrepreneurship journey, and even if it concerns your health. So I am Miss.ABA, your host, your weekly host that takes you through every time and every week. So today we quite have a wonderful special guest on the show, one that came highly recommended. And I must say that this is one that will tell you about the how to do the entrepreneurship thing without the, marketing 5 steps to your millionaire ideas and all of those things that you're used to. The somewhat, Americanized way of showing you what business is all about and the different aspects of business. This is actually one that comes from Ghana, where I'm from, and whether that be in Tree or whether that be in English, he'll definitely tell you the raw thing about what business is, and whether that be in 5 or 10 steps. It will give you the real deal. And one thing that I also love about this noted speaker author is that he also highlights the aspect of mindset and everything that pertains to business after that. He is one that is an African entrepreneur, and I'm definitely emphasizing African. He went to Opokowari school, and people always have to correct me because sometimes, I hit the tree on the nail on the head, and sometimes I don't. He holds a bachelor's in agriculture engineering from KNUST, KNUS, and a master's in bioprocess engineering from UCD. His business interests are in engineering, construction, fashion accessories, real estate, and so much more. He is one that is humbly based in Accra with his family, and he comes along a lot of time inspiring many entrepreneurs. Some of them I've even spoken to that recommended him so much that I definitely have him here. And it's an honor, it's a pleasure. I would really like to welcome Sir Kwabena Obeng Darko. Let's get him on. All
Yes,
right.
Ava.
All right. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Good, good, good. How is this season Ghana? I know that it is not as hot as maybe, we're normally used to. How is it
The
there?
temperature, I think, for the last 2 weeks has dropped a bit.
Right,
It's not that hot in the evening,
right.
but it's manageable. It's okay.
It's manageable. Right,
Yes.
right. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about Ghana in a bit because it seems that, from outside, Ghana is slightly becoming the paradise of Black people. And a lot of people would like to have, the piece of the pie, especially when it comes to investment, entrepreneurship, and everything. which is, now much promoted, but a lot of people might not know the inside out. But we will talk a bit more about that. Um, Before we get things started, we always have the interest in knowing who you are and how would you describe yourself, because of course I did the major introduction, but we would really like to know who is Mr. Obeng Darko, and what do you find important wherever that you speak and you talk to.
All right. It's an honor to be here. I'm glad to be on your show as well. I watch few of
Thanks so
them,
much.
and your commitment to bring um, enlightenment and fulfillment to Africans mainly,
Hmm.
because that's where my interest is. And so
Yeah.
Kwame called me, sent me a message that uh, he is your friend and he would want us to connect. And
Sure.
I appreciate that. So, my name is Obeng Darko, Kwabena Obeng Darko. I'm a Ghanaian. I'm a Kwabre, which means I'm Asante. Uh, what I went to Pogora School, as you said, I
Right.
trained as an engineer, but I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm an author. I have written three books. We run retail shops, as you said. We have done a bit of construction. We have a property development company as well. So that's mainly what we do. And I share the knowledge that we have acquired over the years on Facebook, on YouTube, and on radio, particularly
Yeah.
Peace FM. We have done that since COVID for the last 2 years, bringing financial knowledge, entrepreneurship, personal development,
Yeah.
customer service, things like that, that will help people, resources that will help people to do well in their lives and in their businesses. Because if
Yeah.
the mind is right, a lot of things will be right. So that's why
Yeah. And what made you decide to share it with the world, through radio?
you can have it and not share
Mm.
because you didn't come with it. Somebody shared with you. So it gets to a point, it just has to overflow. And I think that was it. If you really had it genuinely, you would want to give it. And if you don't give it, it becomes frustration, because then
Yeah.
you see people who can just hear one or two things from you, and their things will get reorganized. They will see growth, they will see some fulfillment. They'll be able
Yeah.
to do something with their lives. And if you have that, you bear the consequences and share. And I
Yeah.
think it's just natural that you share if you
Yeah.
have it.
Well, thanks for making that decision. I know that that is also, a task on its own to decide to share, take the time out to share. And some entrepreneurs choose not to, because somewhat, they feel they hold some kind of secret to their success, and it happens. It can get
Mm.
us to laugh, but it happens so much, that or they want to monetize it in a certain way. But the fact that
Yeah.
you chose to sit down and put it in a book and everything. Which, by the way, I also love about you, is because your books about business are really affordable.
Yeah.
For any starting entrepreneur to purchase. That's also what I love about you. Speaking of your books, you have definitely published some books like Perspective, for
Yes.
instance, that focuses on how to develop the mindset to start and build your business. Mindset, which is really important. Streamline as well, how to
Yes.
teach yourself money, and other books, and
Yeah.
resilience, how to develop courage and strength as an entrepreneur. They somewhat drive around this mindset thing, the invisible space. Why did you choose to focus on these aspects in your book?
A man's world is his mind. If I
Hmm.
want to control you, I will control what you hear, what you see. Then I can get you to do whatever you want to do. I want you to do for me. So if I want to liberate you, it's the same. It's words, it's
Hmm.
information, it's knowledge, and particularly as Africans. I schooled in Ghana and then went to school somewhere as well. There is so much that our people are not aware, and particularly when it comes to our history, our identity, financial information, our innovation, building industries. We seem not to be so much aware. Once in a while, some people will find them and struggle, but in the open culture, you see the politics, you see the religion, you hear the music, you hear you know the movie, the sports. We are obsessed with those. When the
Sure.
others who are taking over a lot of things are looking at innovation, they're looking at business,
Sure.
they're looking at investment, they're looking at finance, and that is dominant. But ours, we are, more of you are consumers. So we just have to make you entertained, and then we
Yeah.
ship into you. And I think part of it is history, part of it is, structure of government. A lot of things come together. But at the individual
Marketing.
level, I think that you get there when you have the right tools. So having gone through
Right.
a lot of process, I saw that if you win in the mind, because really the battle is in the mind. If you win in the mind, then you have won. If you lose there, everything is lost. So bringing the awareness to us, to me, to everybody, that if you have the right information, then the frustrations will go away. Then you will not even doubt whether you're going to succeed or not, because you would succeed. It's a matter of it's like a factory. If the process is right, then the product, you don't have to worry about it. But if the process is wrong, then the product will have some defects. So it's the same. Once the process, the mental processes are right, then we will be fine. And so you have a generation of Africans here. When you finish, and maybe some people went to JSS, some people will end up at the secondary school level, some people will go further at the university level. But if you see it, when they finish, majority of us, because of the mental processes, the mindset, we will think that if we don't get government job, then we didn't have to go to school. Then it's a waste. Or if we don't travel from Ghana to England, to Germany, to Holland, to America, that's where they say is opportunity. Green something. Opportunities are somewhere. Or maybe some people will even start to form religious organizations or even join politics. So if you don't join any of these, or if you don't get to any of these, what then do you have? And that's what I say entrepreneurship comes in. And then every one of us has some talent, has some skill sets that we can work on and build business from wherever we are. So it's the mind, it's the information, and this kind of information largely are not in the school. I did science, I did engineering. They will teach you all the thermodynamics, the machine, all those that they taught us. But to pick that idea and build an industry out of it was almost non-existent. So you are trained as an engineer, you come out, your hope is that somebody will get you some job. But then they forget that our case is different as Africans, because industrialization did not happen that much. And you and I know that industry, and you're teaching the people coming from school that go and get job, then you're creating a whole huge problem. But you have to tell them that your nation, your continent has not gone through that. So we are getting about 300,000 or so graduates every year. So how many jobs are we creating? So when I was a child, I heard of graduate unemployment, I heard of brain drain. Has it changed that much? I'm not sure, because the content has not changed, and the continent or the country has not gone through what they call industrial something. So the kind of information we have to give our graduates would have to be different from the kind of information some other people would have to give to their youth. And that's why you can see some of us going through the desert, trying to get to Libya, trying to get to Italy, because the things that we see on TV, we think that once we get there, everything will be solved. There is some kind of ignorance, because then they show us all the nice things about Europe, about America, and then they show all the ugly things about Africa, whether on the continent or outside the continent. So when you grow up as an African, there is an identity issue, and even in our school, the kind of history they teach us. You go to school, they mention everybody, and everybody who has done anything great in the books is European, is white. And then I come out, you expect me to innovate. But my grandfather, who was a Dujanfi, his name was not in mathematics. His name was not in geography. So subconsciously, I'm an inferior person.
Yeah.
I have to look up to somebody else, all the time. Meanwhile, the knowledge that they share, the science, the engineering, is not unique with any race.
Right.
That should have been told in our school. But you are imposing Einstein, Newton, Faraday on us as if we didn't achieve anything. And then when I go to church, Jesus there is white, the
It's
devil is
white.
black, the angels are white,
Yeah.
the demons are black. My name would have to be changed to an English name for me to be applied. All
Very
this
true.
affect the way we see ourselves as Africans. So for us to think as human beings, we need to look at these things. And the moment you're able to correct these things, then you don't have to tell the child the young man that don't go through the desert. They will have value for themselves.
Sure.
They will not say that if I don't travel to another country, I will not become successful, because then they will become so much optimistic. And so that's why I focus on this.
I love that. Love that so much. We're going to touch on the African identity in a bit, but first, I would really love to know your journey, because you touched a bit on, you started in engineering, entrepreneurship came on your way. Um, could you tell us a bit about how it started? Take us back, young man, starting out in this engineering. Why did you leave that? What are the things that you took with you now in your entrepreneurship stage? Could you give us a picture on that area?
Okay, so when we completed school in Kumasi, Kwame Nkrumah University, after national service, I did national service in the food processing, no, in a wood processing company around Mamponting, thereabout. When you finish, I didn't know what to do. But then I had read a lot of books on business in school. Even though I
Hmm.
was doing engineering, I was reading a lot of finance. So I did not really have the desire to go and look for any job. So I didn't waste my time there. So myself and my friends, we just try anything to get by. Then
Yeah.
I had to go and do master's somewhere. So when we came back, and then I said that we still have to, you are not going to get a job. I don't have an uncle who's a president or minister of state.
Yeah.
So for you to get a job, I don't know. And that's not the desire, because of the content that I had created over time. So everything was, how do I build a business? So myself and my friends came together and we started some construction and engineering firms. We did it for almost 10 years with all kind of contracts from individual companies, engineering works. We
That's quite
built
good.
some clinics, some markets, pasture in some areas. And then myself and my wife, we also just around the same time we started retail shop. And now we have about 10 or 12 of them in the malls. So you go to some of these malls, we have them. We make some of the bags ourselves, the slippers ourselves. And we have also run that for 12 years now. So how did this start? We just started to just fidget. It
Yeah.
was not, you had to write a business plan, look for investors. We're not that intelligent to do that. We were just
Yeah.
trying. Hopefully something
Sure.
will come out of. And hopefully we just have to believe that this is what I would want to do. And no matter the challenges, no matter the problems, you just have to stay with it and commit to it and focus. And so that's how it worked. And we've been doing this now we have our own property development company. We build apartments for rent, in Accra, Kumasi, things like that, with our own funding actually. And that's where we are, and we're still pushing. So the
Yeah.
story is not defined, it's scattered. Some of them, we started some businesses and we had to collapse them because we ran into problems, many of them.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the bad project, bad financing, or bad team. We crash a lot of them. And those that survive, those are the ones that we are with now. to say it.
Yeah. I love how you said we. It seems like you are not by yourself. You are
Mm.
with a team. Could you
Yes.
share with us the importance about we in this business?
Okay. So with my wife, with the retail and with the development as well. She also did mathematics from Kwame University. She has an MBA. So that's a strong force.
Right.
Before that, I had friends who we formed some businesses with, but we had to run into some problems, and so we collapsed a lot of them. I focus building with my wife now, and so it's a strong team. You can't do it alone. No, if you
Yeah.
try, you will collapse. It's very difficult. So if you get somebody who is good, then you work with it, because then
Hmm.
almost every idea is challenged, is questioned, is looked at from a different position. Business really is a team. It's a team entity. If you try to do it, whether you have a partner or you have employees, it's still a team.
Sure.
And the quality of the team really is the success of the business. If you don't have a team, you will give up. You give
Yeah.
up, or you will not grow. It will be small, because a team is required for growth.
Sure.
Structure and things like that. So it's really with my wife Mary, and that's what we do.
I love that. I love that. I love the we. I love the focus on the team, and it reminds any entrepreneur to understand the value of teaming up with someone. I noticed that depending on the industry that you work in, a lot of people and a lot of Africans fear that their idea gets stolen. You know what I mean? Having to partner with people, or even in the moment where they share their idea, and it happens a lot. I mean, if even if we look at what is it, world's prominent brands, the Apple, Microsoft, they were people
Mhm.
that worked together. That
Yeah.
looked at one vision with a different idea,
Mm.
and both developed, strong brands, strong products in that sense. What do you say to that fear, that underlying fear that entrepreneurs, and it's one of the many that are there, but what do you say to someone that is walking around with a mindset like that?
Um, yes. If you want to go far, you must go with somebody, and that will mean that humans are very complex. Um, you know, it's a complex system. There's emotions, there are different aspirations people can change, but
Yeah.
in the middle of that, you still need to work with people. So the fundamental understanding is that this business is about people coming together to work. And so if you pick somebody and it does not work, it does not mean that you don't need people to work with. You still have to, maybe it's the mechanism you use. Maybe it's the points that you use to select whoever that you selected, a lot of the time. So there are things that you must look for in order to have somebody who can be a strong team player. There are things that, and most people may not look at that. It's just, oh, we come from the same hometown, or he's my classmate. You pick them, and they may not
Yeah.
be having the same kind of strength, the same kind of passion, the same kind of character with you. And then the team will break. And then they say that the Africans cannot work together. Really, it's not the Africans cannot work together. We come together to do the funerals, we come together to do church, we come together to do the political things. When it comes to business, they are just trying to say that we can't come together. I think that is the information. Money is involved,
Yeah.
all right. People must lift their knowledge, people must lift their patience, people must lift their believability, and they must know that you can go alone. And if you want to really play it big, complications will come. It's just like the gears, they run. That's why you have the lubricants to cool it. When human beings come together, there will be problems. They
Yeah.
are bound, and sometimes they would have to save her. But you cannot go far if you don't have a team. So that conviction must be there, no matter how many times you've been betrayed or wounded or destroyed. You still have to pick somebody to build a business with.
I love that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are watching from, we're still talking to Kwabena Obeng Darko, who is a serial entrepreneur. He is, well, he and his wife do a lot, and they know what it takes to do business in Ghana. We're talking to him not just about his journey, but really the importance of entrepreneurship, highlighting the aspect of the mindset, the planning, and also the power of we, and also the fact that you celebrate who you are as Africans. You understand the type of information that you really should adapt to, and I hope that it will help us to reflect on some of our convictions about ourselves. Can't work together, just like Kwabena mentioned? Can we work together if we can come to funerals all together and raise money, which is good enough to which is well enough to start businesses? I mean, people can raise at least $10K capital, or
Mm.
something from a funeral. then there is really power in something that we do. It's just probably how it's managed. And we're talking to him about that. So if you do have questions or do have comments, do leave it in the comment box so that, we will follow up. And hopefully this will be one of the many moments that we will have him on the show. Really, what I would like to touch on a bit, because I'll ask a bit more about your books, but really the African identity. Um, that African identity is something that is so important to any Black person, all around the world, and it starts somewhere. For me, my discovery in this has been through my broadcasting, engaging with many Africans and who also are historians, educators, business people. And I reflect on my own things in so many ways, also here in the diaspora, where you hear a lot of, oh, I've worked for and worked with companies because I am in communications and marketing, so I focus on market visibility, and have even heard some Black people say, you know what, I'm not going to work with Africans anymore. You know what, I'm gonna invite the white people, because last time when I called a meeting, all you could see, almost all of the Africans weren't on time. So some of these examples, and I reflected on that, and I realized that it was really an unfair comment, because the person in itself also was African in its ways that also collided with, others, and was really treating people unfairly in the particular company. So back to the African identity.
Yeah.
What do you see go wrong? What are the things that we should look at so we can start educating ourselves and have this change of mindset that could also empower our businesses? Could you share a bit more light on that?
Okay. So we can't talk of identity without talking about history. The history you have on anything uh, really is how you identify it. If you talk to me, you started by saying, where do you come from? Where did you start? That was you trying to identify, trying to position me. The kind of history that we have been given as Africans, have been
Yeah.
based on the Europeans. And when
Right.
they came right to undermine us, to destroy us, to make us believe that we are nothing. And that has never changed. Over the last 500 years, they continue. It's in science, it's in religion, it's in business, it's in the media, it's in the government structure, it's everywhere,
Yeah.
you know. And so when you are an African and you want to learn the history, you cannot focus on the time that we met the Europeans, which is the 14th, 15th century, because that is where they started to destroy everything. And they said that when we met the Africans, they were uncivilized, they were uncooked. We had to teach them how to eat right, clean. Those were lies, you know? And so you will not find an African who has not studied beyond this, who is identified
Sure.
as an African. And without your identity, you don't have freedom and fulfillment. If you don't know who you are, you can't know who you are until you have an identity. And you can't have an identity until you have some level of knowledge about your race, and being proud of that race. That's why you can see anytime that you see any African who does not have any value for history, you can see high level of negativity, high level of mistrust, high level of disrespect for Africans and for Africa, because the content that the Europeans have put there is full of that. So
Yeah.
you hear the Africans are corrupt, their leaders are corrupt. This is not the first time that they are saying it. When they came, that is what they use. Let's call them corrupt. And so when you want to learn, go back to the last 5,000, 10,000 years, study. The internet is there. There are a lot of African teachers, great African teachers. Until you are proud of yourself, until you are proud of your heritage, you cannot live as a full human being. And there's no other race that they have gone after like the Africans. Some people say
Mm.
that, how about the Chinese? Listen, we are the ones that they've really gone after, and they have told the history as if we didn't fight back, as if we didn't have anything, as if we were just people selling people. You know, as of the time that they sat at the Berlin Conference, they just had about 10% of Africa. Before that, so just after the Berlin Conference, which is 1884, 85, then they started to use their instruments to say that this is Africa. And then through that, colonization happened. So if you're an African, study beyond that, because deliberately in our history books, they are not there. So you will see an African who is a doctor, but who he looks like you. He may have Kwabena Darko as his name, but his thoughts, are against Africans. He's not proud. He wants to be European. And that's why he honors the Europeans. He bows to them. Now, you cannot build Africa with such people. Because then they will only, when people are not proud of who they only gravitate towards the negatives. And so my journey started when I started to read history books. And I wanted to find out who were we in science, in business, even in warfare, in all the things that they tell us about. Who were we? Were we just that some ignorant people who started to kill themselves? And I found out that a lot of the things that they said were wrong. It's like somebody tried to invade a house, kill the people there and burn it. Now you are trying to track it, and it's very difficult for you to track the right history. And that is what happened to the Africans. And so we listen. We are trying to hear history from the Europeans. We are trying to hear that, who discovered this is the Europeans, as if we didn't. And yet, if you track for the last 5,000, 7,000 years, the most significant human invention out of science and innovation and technology that still exists on any continent is on the African continent. So if the Africans were not in science and technology, how could they do that? And it's not just one, right? From the pyramids to almost everywhere. If you come to Ghana, there are evidences of things that show that these people were civilized. Look at their Akan culture or look at their Ewe culture. When did they learn all these things? And you say that they were not polished. And so I think that you have to learn the history opposite what the Europeans have taught. Because they knew that if you want to go after any people, go after their history. It's like somebody, let's say you have a prince who didn't know that his father was the king. And you took that prince as a slave. And you lied to that prince. The first day that prince will find out that my father was actually the king, that information will change everything about that prince. So it's the same. When I started to find out that the kind of education I'm being given, for instance, when it comes to agriculture, why do you teach me agriculture in the university? Purely based on how Europeans practice agriculture. Why do you teach me history or surgery based on what the European worldview, or engineering? Are you saying that when they came, we were not building houses? Our women were not giving birth? We didn't know which medicine to take? That is the content that you put in school. And perchance, if you want to add other things, you add. But here is the case that we have put those kind of information about us out of school. So when you go to school, everything is the ones that must be Europeans. And you can catch up if you're copying somebody, because then they will keep changing. And our culture has not changed. No matter what, I will never be, European. They will not even accept me. So you build education based on the culture of the people, based on the traditions of the people. And that is what the Chinese have tried to do. Teach your people to be proud of who they are. And they are not inferior. So that is the history. And if you're an African and you don't learn that, you forever blame yourself. You'll never be proud of yourself. You'll never be proud of Africa. And you will not even be able to build any business, because for you to build business or build anything significant, you would have to be courageous. You have to take risk. If you're not sure of yourself, any little thing that you meet, you back up. You go back and say, why am I forcing myself? But when you're stable, it's like a tall tree. The only reason that tree is tall is because of the depth of the root, and the history is like that. So great men are really students of history, and that's why they don't question their identity. They're strong. The kind of information, for instance, that the Chinese president will have on China, that's why it will make him to stand for his people. The kind of information, for instance, that Russian president Putin will have, that's why he's able to say that this is what I want. The other person who is selling his wealth, his resources, and not fighting for his people, it's not because he's a bad person. It's because of the kind of information that he has. And much of it is the kind of education he's been given.
Yeah.
So if you want to change the way the man, the education. And so the history is everything, actually. I think it's the most important education because upon it, all other education will fall. And so if you can teach, you teach somebody how to code, engineering, everything. But if he is not sure of himself, he will not use it for anything that will benefit himself and his people.
Yeah.
So the history for me is everything. From it, other things can come because
Mm,
that's where the identity is. And that's why the person will be proud as a human being, you know, and love himself and love his people. I love everybody, actually.
mm. I love that. I love that. It's a lot to think about. Heading on to the books that you've released. One is you are the author of How to Teach Yourself Money. Why this topic?
If you take identity out, the next most important thing is money,
Right.
worth. If you don't have worth, you're powerless. They teach us to go and become doctors, lawyers, engineers, all those, and then we go and work for this organization our lives. They don't the wealth they don't teach their children to become doctors and those. They teach them to own corporations, businesses. They teach them money and they teach them how to pick money and multiply it. Intentionally, that kind of knowledge was not put in our school. It was in our culture because my grandfather, who didn't go to school, he had cocoa farm, he had his sheep, goat, orange farm. He had a truck. Just about 30 years to his passing, he bought sand, stocked them, or stored them. And when he was not able to work, he was selling them to eat,
Mm,
to take care of himself. My other grandfather, who went to school, he was a teacher. He died poor. He didn't have anything. The one who didn't go to school had some sense of how money is preserved. The one who went to school had no respect for money because he decided not to pick the knowledge that his fathers
mm-hmm.
taught him. So I say that if you want to become wealthy as an African, the global financial structure does not have Africa in it. In Ghana, how many people have credit card? If you want to buy a house in Ghana, it's no mortgage. How many people? Which money? If you want to build a business here, how many venture money that you get from who? If you want to procure loan in Ghana, maybe 30% at the moment. That is suicidal. If you go to where you are, maybe 5%, maybe 3%. Mortgage, look at that. So we are not part of this dead global financial structure. It does
Mm,
not mean we can create our own wealth where we are. We just must understand what we have. And it's not just the finances, almost everything in Africa is not part. Look at the COVID and the vaccine. How many vaccines were sent to Africa? How many died here? Some people will say that it's God, it's not God. It's some things were right. We can't we just don't we are not able to pinpoint them, maybe. But in terms of the culture, how we live, how we handle things, those things
mm,
protected us and preserve us. Those things are unique with us. So the same thing with finance. And
yeah.
so when you go to school and they don't teach you this finance, you will come out and the only thing that you think you can do is work, get salary. You will not become ambitious. And so teach yourself money. It means that how do I pick this money and grow it? Because you can't really be free until you're financially free, where you control your time and you control your aspirations. Money is the fuel to the vision that you have. You can have any great vision. If you don't have fuel, you're not going anywhere. And it's something that all of us can study. Once you're aware that it's not there, you're not being taught to be financially free, then you must go and find it yourself. And if you don't have right financial education, then running a business will be very difficult. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why they say entrepreneurship is difficult because a lot of us don't know how to handle money. The moment you're in education in terms of money, it's very high. You will know how to run. In this world, you have just about two problems: money problems and all the other problems. You know,
Right.
and the money problems, if you solve that, you have solved over 99% of the life's problems that you meet, actually. Because if you don't want to go to work, it's maybe you have to go because if you don't go, they won't pay you, and you don't your rent will you can pay. Or maybe if you're sick, you go, they say this surgery will cost you this. Your child is going to school, they want to go and do this course, but you don't have the money. You cry and just sleep. You want to help some people. What do? It's money. So once you're able to solve the money problem, there are so many things that you can solve. So many things that you can solve, and so it is critical. They will say that, oh yes, the rich people have their own problems, but money really is not part of it, and
Right.
money problem is not what you want to have. And all of us, at which level money comes to us, our ability to handle it well, to get to a stage where you don't have to depend on that job to eat, to sleep, or to clothe yourself. It means that you have come to a stage where you've been able to cross major step, where you really don't have to get up to work to eat. And that one is built over time. And that's why I wrote Streamline, How to Teach Yourself.
I love that. Speaking of the pandemic, which you highlighted there, what is the thing that the pandemic has taught Africa or Ghana specifically?
That each one for himself. And that
Mm,
if you use homegrown solutions, you're better off. But the thing is that the leaders that we have, who trained them, who schooled them, what government structure are they even using?
mhm.
This democracy that they are using, who imposed it on them?
Yeah,
So it's costly to run a democracy. You don't have the kind of money that these people have. You
right,
change the people every 4 years. You will not have money to develop. And then you run to IMF all the time when there is a mistake. When they print,
right.
they don't run, they print. And so the pandemic just showed the structure that runs the world. And I hope that our people will learn from it. That if Africans can come together, I don't know if they would, but if they can come together and just do business among themselves. Look at what happened in China. In the middle of a painful moment in human history, we didn't create the virus, we didn't bring it. And yet the Africans were being, you saw it.
Yeah,
They were beating them. They would do all kind of things to the Africans because nobody really respects us that much,
no,
except him here. Look at what happened to Floyd in America in the
yeah,
middle of the pandemic. You put your knee on somebody's as a police
yeah.
officer. So it just shows how our people became aware that really,
It revealed it. Yeah,
no, nobody really respects us. But our people, the government also tried to at least control some things. There were some lapses, but I think that people were taking their own ginger, their own sobolo, and those things really, really
yeah,
help. So
yeah.
that's what I would say.
Mm. I see. So we talked about the pandemic, things that Africans should learn. One thing when I hear about the African identity, we should be educated on a history. It kind of takes me then back to entrepreneurs. They need to make money now. You know what I mean? They come
Mhm.
to Ghana because now even from the people that live here, many people do make an attempt to start a business, or they run it a little bit, or they come back and forth. They run into several frustrations hiring particular people that they say they are skilled to do something and they eventually are not. I remember even some years ago when I was a student, I came to do internship at a company in Ghana. There was a particular worker that my boss had to fire, but it would be hard really getting rid of her because she actually came through a family connect. So which even makes it more harder. And so we're finding all kinds of tactics to how can we finally let her go, because many chances were given. So particular frustrations come that have not always been calculated in the whole risk area, because people come from a world where you can almost calculate a lot of the risk that you'll run into and create a budget for it. But here it's quite spontaneous. It's
Mhm.
sometimes entertaining. you
Mm.
know where do you then start, and what would be also your, because it's two in one question, what would also be some of the frustrations that you've also experienced yourself being a local? Where do you even then start? Because before you educate somebody, you're probably 5 years ahead, and somebody wants to make money now. what what
Yes.
what do you observe in this?
I think that if you don't live here and you want to start a business here, uh, one, it should be a journey, and you should know whether you're an employer where you are or you're an employee,
Yeah,
because then you have to transition from being an employee to an employer, building a business in Ghana. Even if you're transitioning from being an employee to an employer in where you are is a whole different journey. And then you are moving from a different culture, from one culture to another. You have to understand that Ghana is entirely different. Africa is different. The way we
Sure.
think is different. Our structures are different, and you don't use where you are as the standard. It's not the standard. It's just different. The moment you understand that, then we can go somewhere. If you come and you think that, oh, this is how we do it, and this must be done this way. Okay, so the girl comes to work, she's late. Say that, why are you late? I'll take 15 minutes. I'll take this from your money. You are late. Those kind of approaches that they use there.
Yeah.
What we have to know is that slavery did not happen here that much as work. So we don't have that memory in Ghana where people have to work, in regiment. So if somebody is working in Ghana, he's living in the family house. If he's Accra, outside Accra, he's living in a family house. Or even if he's in Accra, he has family, he has friends, he has people that he can live with. He doesn't have mortgage. The
Yeah.
pay may not be enough, but if you say that, yes, the work must be very much important to you, there are other things that are important to that girl, like the
To
church
that
that they
person.
go to.
Yeah.
Yes. The friends, the party, those things are as important to them as you thinking the job must be important to them. And you have to go beyond just this is professional relationship. We are very communal, we are very social people.
Sure. Sure.
So that is how you use. This is how we work with our guys. Of course, if you fall, we'll correct, and then maybe we'll let you go. But it's not that much blatant. It's not
Yeah.
that rigid, and it's not like the one I saw in England or I saw any other place.
Sure.
You have to mix it. And so if you use it like, no, it's not done this way, is wrong, then you will be frustrated. But if you try to understand how they work, and if you're not happy with how they work, maybe you want to lift it, no problem. But you must have an original plan based on the culture that you have built in your business and how you want them to think. And which means that you may
Yeah.
have to have your own training on almost every topic that you want them to improve in, and how to for them to even see the world differently. So you don't just say that, oh, I've employed you, the person has a degree so he knows. No,
Yeah.
the person may be there but he's thinking of going to America. The person may be there but he's thinking that God will supernaturally change my finances for me,
Yeah.
and you are not coming with that kind of thinking. So then a lot of the way they reason will probably shake you. You said, oh, why are you thinking like that? But really, it's the way that they think, and it's a bit different. And so you don't
Yeah.
frown upon that. You just have to understand it and then maybe improve it. And so
Yeah.
when we work with that humanity. And so even if when they are
Sure.
angry and they want to leave, no problem. You still open that chance that they can come and talk to you. Because when
Yeah.
you make them feel like that, because that's really what they know, then they will know that I have to give in all my best. So I think it's purely understanding how we work. It could be they will say that is inefficient, it's not good, maybe, I don't know. But the same person who's saying that these guys are inefficient, when the same person works in Holland, how much do they pay them?
Sure.
But when you come here, you want to pay that person 1%, or 10% of what you pay that
Sure.
person somewhere, and then you expect the same kind of output. I don't know if it's good judgment. And so
Right.
understand them from where they are, and you have to have much respect for them. And if you think they should improve, which I think they should improve, but you have to have a way to do it, because the humanity is so much important to them than your
Yeah.
money. Than your
Yeah.
money. They can walk off the job even though they don't have anywhere to sleep. Never forget that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anywhere to sleep. But if you don't talk to them respectfully, you will take your job and they will go. They
Right.
don't. So you have to understand how we think and how we approach things. Right. But once you get it, it will work with their heart for you. And they are not wicked. They are not there to kill you. They may do some things you don't agree with, but they don't sit down to say, "Let me kill this person." So there are a lot of advantages as well when you work with them. So you come understanding that I'm going to a whole different area to learn. And if you don't come with a lot of positivity, then don't come. If you think that you are lower, you are dropping your grade to go there and
Yeah.
help, then don't come. I'm
Hmm.
going there to polish them, then don't come.
Hmm.
Because eventually you'll be frustrated because you're coming there with some kind of, you're cocky. And I
Yeah.
think it takes a lot of humility for you to even work with people,
Mhm.
So uh, that's what I think.
Yeah. I love that. I think that even answers my final question. What would your advice be? In a period of time whereby people seek to invest, and it's also coming from our own people, our Black
Mhm.
people, African
Mm.
people. Now it's really highlighted. You see the Africa themed investment gatherings, conversations, and even partnerships, now happening among Black people. So I really think that what the role that you play is really essential in this. As more people, have interest first, do their research, and either come back to start businesses or to partner or to finance. And I hope this also will be the start of something new where it's not the white person help us, the
Mhm.
white person to the rescue. It would be a different dynamic, but most importantly, the understanding of culture, you know,
Yes,
whereby that comments of, oh, when you work with Black people, this is what you get, and would be rightfully addressed.
that's right.
I think there's an opportunity for that. In closing, what would be your final piece of advice to entrepreneurs or to those that seek to come and work, in Ghana? We're definitely going to have you on more, definitely, but just your piece of advice, and of course, where people can find you online.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think that Africa belongs to us. So long as you look like me, whether you want to associate yourself with us or not, you are likely to be treated just the same way they would treat me anywhere in the world, you know. And so there is nowhere that we have to build, but the continent, and
Yeah,
all the resources are here. The reason that Africa has been under attack all these years is because of the wealth that we have, not just
yeah,
the natural wealth, but even our intelligence and our energy, our strength as well. The problem is, it's like a computer. When there is virus on the data or on the software, you don't throw the computer away. You just find a way to take off the virus. So it's
yeah,
really just the way we process and the way we see the world. So I would say that if the Chinese will come here, if the Europeans, if the Indians, then those who have natural connection with us directly or indirectly, whether it's now or ancient, must look and visit and do business here. And
yeah,
and it is our responsibility actually to make sure that we develop, and we are the ones building the industries, not the others, because they've been here for all these years. If they would ever build the industry, they would have built them. So I would say we should just look and find a
true.
way to work together, no matter the troubles. And we must also know that us not working together is a program. It's not that's
Yeah,
how we are. Disrespecting ourselves, even in jokes, is a program because we praise others and look down upon ourselves. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to come, or even if you're not entrepreneur, you can still invest in something. Invest in cocoa, invest in palm oil, invest
yeah,
in coconut oil, buy some, somewhere, build a factory, open a shop, whatever that you can do. But here, the positives are so much than the negatives. Always remember that. The good news, there are many. And there is humanity on the continent, in Ghana as well. In spite of all the negatives that you hear, there is humanity. There is something that is so fulfilling if you live here, or even if you visit. If you want to find me on the internet, it's Obeng Darko on YouTube, and on Facebook too is Obeng Darko. We actually have a course, obengdarko.com.gh, where we talk about real estate development, business, financial
yeah.
knowledge, market.
Good one.
And then my books are on Amazon Kindle as well. And if you come to Ghana, Envy is a shop in the malls, Accra Mall and all the other malls. You can see some of our products there as well.
Envy.
Yes.
I love that. I love that because you have a team. I'm loving your team.
Yes, we do. We do have a team.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kwabena, all the way from Ghana for interacting with us. And I hope even when we get back in the motherland, hopefully we can get to meet you and give
Sure.
us a thank you for being on the show. That would really be cool. And we're looking forward to next time. And we will be following you and engaging with you more. Thanks so much
Thank you.
again. And yeah, have the best of evening. I think it's like an 2 hours behind now at this time, so
Yes.
you probably still have your was it maybe a banquine or something to to eat or something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. That's
All right.